AutoCAD tutorial. So what you're going to learn here is some really basic skills on how to build something in Tinkercad. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to log in with your Google account for Ramsey, so your Ramsey email and password. And when you're in, you'll hit the create button and it'll give you three options. You're going to definitely click the 3D design option for right now, and it will open up what's called the work plane. And it's just a regular work plane. It's just set up that way. It'll probably look like this. And you will see a grid. This grid must be changed. So the very first thing that you need to do is go to your settings. And in your settings, you're going to change it to imperial. So default is metric. You're going to change it to imperial. Scale should be 1 to 1 inches. And then don't change anything with the width or length. But then click make default and close your settings. So after you're done closing your settings, it will look like this. The settings will be on 1/8 of an inch. I like to change it to 1/64, but 1/64, 1/32, and 1/16 will all be fine. I go to 1/64 because it gives me more room to play when I'm building stuff. Now next, we're going to go some basic understandings. So first thing you want to do is change the name. So up here, you change the name to your last name, the project you're trying to build, and then your class that you're with me. So if, Troopy Golf Attachment 8A. And now what that means is obviously your last name, the project you're working on, and the grade would be 8th grade, and that A would be like the which class it would be. Once you're done with that, it'll change everything there, and then you're ready to go and start creating. So a few just kind of understandings of what we're doing here. To make this rotate, if you're on a computer, is simple because you just have to right click on any mouse, and then you can move it on around holding the right click of the mouse. You could also, if you're on your Chromebook, it's more easier to do this and just you can left click and hold on to this piece. But you can see it actually tells you what part of the object you're going to be looking at. And top, bottom, back, left, whatever. Let's say you're doing this too much and you kind of get lost. That happens. When you do get lost, just click the home key and it will bring you right back to the first thing. Now, dragging in shapes. We're going to get to some of these other things in just a minute, but dragging in shapes is very simple. You just have to click on whatever you want to go. And you can click it, and then I'm not even touching a button right now. I just put it into a position and click it again. You can also click and drag it in. And we'll talk about the shape in a second, but these are the shapes, just basic shapes. And you can go to other shapes that are a little bit kind of more creative or fun. I don't really want you to do that if you're building stuff for, robotics, because some of these things won't help you out. Maybe if you're going to build something for the 7th grade Rube Goldberg, they might be able to assist you in some more creative aspects of your builds. But right now we're going to stick with the basic shapes. Once a shape is in, it is pretty easy to understand what it is that you have to do. To change the size of something, you just got to click on one of the corners. And currently this block is 1 inch by 1 inch, and it's actually 1 inch high as well. But when you click on the corner, you actually click it. It brings up the length and the height. The length and the width. And you can change those by clicking on the measurements and just typing in your own. So right now it was at 1. If I put 2, it makes it 2 inches in length. If I put 5, let's go 4. Now my width is 4 inches. And you can set it up any way you want, whatever you'd like. The height, same thing. You can click it. You can decide to click and hold and drag it up and down to make it thinner and thicker. If you do that, if you go slow enough, it will tell you the actual fraction. So it'll bring it to a ½ inch. It'll tell you, and then it'll say 3/8 and 1/4 and all of that stuff. So you can figure that out. Or you can just type in, I want it to be a ½ inch, and you type in 0.5, it brings it to a ½ inch. Or, I want it to be 1/4 of an inch, 0.25, and it brings it to a 1/4 of an inch. But understanding that is pretty important. Now, the other part of this is everything as far as the rotation is concerned is based on a middle point, like right here in the middle of the work plane. If you want to focus more in on rotating around the object, what you do is you click this button. And what this button will fit the view to the selected piece. So if I've selected that piece, I click it and it will bring that selected piece up. And now when I rotate, it rotates around that piece. If I drag another piece in, and I still rotate. It's on the original piece that I selected. So if I want to rotate on this one, I've got to click this again. If this was selected, it will rotate on that piece now. Now, like I said, there might be times where you might get lost in the mix and you don't even know what you did. Just remember, you can always click home and it brings you back. Then you just click on these things that you don't want and you get rid of them. Now, I have this piece here. And to make a shape today, I'm just going to make it somewhat big. And I'm going to make that a curve. This is really easy to do. These two blocks are holes, but you could change any object that you've brought in and make it into a hole. All you have to do is click one of these. If I have it currently, it's now a solid. If I want it to be a hole, I click it, it turns into a hole. In this case, I want it to be a solid. And then I want to bring in a hole. And then I will stretch it out because I want this thing to be curved. I will slide it into place. It's too thin, so it goes below. So if I was to select both of these things and click this button here, this is called grouping. If I grouped it, what it's going to do, it's going to create that curve, but underneath. It didn't do the whole object. So I don't want that. So I'm going to Control Z and bring that out. And then I'll select the curve, make it taller than my object. Now if I select them both and hit group, there's the curve that I have. And that looks like what I would want. I don't know. Now to make the other side curved, whereas like right now it's squared off, if I want to make the other side curved, it's pretty simple. I hit copy and paste. And then I can change the one that I've actually pasted in to a hole. And what I would do is I would just move it in. See how thick I wanted it. Select both pieces, hit the group button, and now the object is a curve, as you can see. Pretty nice. All right, so now if I wanted to make this object twice, but I wanted to mirror it, I'm going to just do something just to prove a point. But this square, let's just blend it in. And by the way, if you're going to ever group two objects together, and I'm just going to make this back down to 1 inch so that these two things line up. If I ever want to group two things together, you see how I overlapped this one shape into the other? The only way the 3D printer can print anything as a whole is if you overlap them. So like to group them together, you can do that or overlap them. But if let's say you just group them together, and even if you think you're doing something where you're almost right there, but there's a little gap in between them, if you were to group those two together and then print them, the printer is going to print them as two separate pieces. So you do not want to do that. You want to have one piece overlapping another piece. Once it's intertwined, when you group it, as you group it, it will, do this sort of fun shape, and it'll make it one solid. Very easy to do. I'm just going to back out of that because there's something else I want to do before we make this shape again. Let's say I wanted to put a circle into the middle of that box. I want that circle to be 1/2 inch in diameter, which means I have to have it both of these have to be 1/2 inch, 0.5, 0.5, otherwise it'll make it to an oval. I don't want this to be 1 inch tall, which currently that's what it is. I need it to be taller, as I definitely wanted to go through that thing. Now, if I want this to land exactly in the middle of the box, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select both of these, that thing, that hole, and this box, and come up here. And right here, it gives me this align button. I click onto that, and it gives me some options. So the first thing I'm going to do is center them out. So now it's lined up this way. But if I want them lined up in the center of each other, I would click the other center button, and it lines it up not only in the center of the block this way, but it's also lining up in the center of the block that way. And now I have them selected, and I just hit group, and it will cut that hole right out of the middle. So to give you a better look, there we go. You can see it's cut out. So now what I want to do, I'm going to hit home again. I'm just going to drag this over. Now you can see that this block, if I wanted it to be in the center, if I wanted these two to be in the center, obviously I could click the align button and put them in the center, but I am putting them off-centered for a reason. I am going to group these two objects together, but I might, because of my design, want this side to be longer than that side. And because I have maybe two of these that are needed, and I need them to be exactly the same on both sides, just symmetrical, meaning like the same, it's a mirror image. I can copy it, Control C, and then Control V to paste it. But if I'm like, oh, I just need to make it, the other direction and I flip it over, well, they're not the same, as you can see. They don't line up. This box does not line up with that box. This is not going to work for me. So what you do is you click onto the object you want to recreate. You copy it, you paste it. So now they're lined up, but you have to get the mirror image of it. And that's where these two little triangles come in. It mirrors it. You click that. You can mirror it this way, which I don't want to do. And you can mirror it this way, which I do want to do. And now they both line up perfectly. And I have this like cool part that I've just created. So this was really just a fun tutorial on how to create some fun shapes or whatever it is that you want. You could add to it, but this one is a little bit not as accurate. If you click on the scribble, it will open up another view and you can scribble. And then when you're clicking and you're done with it, it will come up as a 3-dimensional scribble. Do what you want. You want to be creative, go for it, see what you can come up with. But this is just basic stuff. As you explore the different options, you can come up with some really great things. This is a limited program, but for beginners, it's perfect. So good luck and have fun. And before you go to send an object that you want to send to be printed by me, make sure that nothing is selected on the board. Click the export button, click the STL button. If you put your name in here like you should, you can see this is an example of that, Abby's golf attachment. She did not put her class day on this. Not a big deal, but if you click it and send it to me in an email, the actual attachment itself, just know where you're downloading it to in your Chromebook. Send me an email with this attachment in the email. I'll get it and I will print it for you. If you have any questions, there is full directions on the board in the back of my room. Good luck and get printing.